I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Yeah, it's day 22, and in honor of Taylor Swift, I'm gonna do a little Flashback Friday and try to pull a metric that is pertaining to my life about 4 years ago. So, yeah, let's dive into it. So, what was going on during my Taylor year? Quite a lot, actually. COVID had just dropped, new mixtape. I had just graduated from the University of Maryland with a bachelor's in civil engineering. And then a month later, in that June of 2020, I had then started working at my first big boy job, had dramatically increased my income. Then a couple months later, I broke up with my ex. And then throughout that year, I had ended up losing 40 pounds. I had gone from about 230 pounds to about 190 pounds and kind of maintained there. Still wasn't at the level of muscle mass that I wanted, but it was a big first step in my journey. And then lastly, I figured out that my current living situation at the time was no longer suitable for my long term health. So I had so much going on. And so, how do I boil that into a metric? I'd say the best way that I had thought about it today was translating this into more of a qualitative metric called the a rate of change factor. You know, something to kind of embody like just how much is going on in your life. Like, so for me, I'd went from having 0 degrees to 1 degree. I'd went from having absolute freedom to no freedom and being inside and completely alone with my thoughts. From one girlfriend to 0 girlfriends. From 230 to 190 pounds. And from being complacent to being vigorously unhappy but ready to change my life, right? And so in that, I've crafted a spectrum, where in the middle you kind of have maintenance of your current situation, and then on the negative side it goes slow degradation, and then fast track to the ER, and then on the other side you have incremental gains and exponential growth, right? And so prior to COVID and me graduating, I was on more in the either slow degradation, inching towards fast track to the ER, and then as my Taylor year went on, I was, slowly making incremental gains. Watching a lot of self-development content like Andrew Huberman or Thomas DeLauer. Really loved his content when I was first getting into that self-development YouTube grind, and he was actually the reason why I tried keto, and then 2 weeks later I had keto flu, and I was just, there was so much going on, and so I think that's why this rate of change factor is really interesting. It's not really tied to a number. It's just, you internally reflect and understand, where am I? Am I stagnating? Am I degrading? Am I improving? And so, yeah, I guess during this Flashback Friday, during my Taylor year, I had kind of went through the incremental gains into almost exponential growth. Like, I was really learning a lot. And by the end of the year, in that March, or I think in February, me and my friend I had booked Airbnb. We went to LA, then we went back and stayed there for 2 months. We were biking on the western coast. We had a 5-minute walk to the beach. We were going to the OG Gold's Gym. We were lifting with absolute mutants. And so being at that place by the end of my Taylor year and starting in a house in Pasadena, COVID lockdown, unhappy with my weight, that rate of change is just so vast that I don't know, I'm pretty happy looking back. And so to end with that, maybe you can think back to what your Taylor year was when you were 22 and now, and were you degrading, maintaining then, and where are you at now? What's that? And, by looking at the difference between the two and where you are at on that rate of change scale, maybe that will either ease your internal anxieties about your performance now if you're doing vastly better than you were a couple years ago, 10, however, given how old you are, or have you gone a negative trend and maybe your anxiety is now heightened, and instead of looking at anxiety as a bad thing, think of it as excitement. Your body is ready to change. Internalize that and then use that to go find out new information about whether it's personal finance, if your finances aren't doing well, health and fitness, if you've gained weight, mental health, ways to handle your anxiety or depression if you aren't doing so well. Anxiety, it's built into our evolutionary process. It's meant to help us out. So don't ignore it, analyze it, and use it to improve. So that's that on day 22 in our rate of change factor, our Taylor year. I hope you found some value in this, and yeah, go change the world, go be a great person, and I hope you have a great Friday.